Alrighty, we are back. We are back. We are back. Yes, we are. We are back. This is part two that you can end up seeing over here. It's over here. It's not over here. Here, there's just a cabinet. There's the light in the side. So we're removing supports from the cast-in-play bone terrain. I guess that's what we're going to end up calling it. Found it on Maker World. Decided to print out some terrain. Since we're doing miniatures on the K2 Plus, I thought, why not do some terrain? We'll spice up our little display shelving and put some terrain there, and we'll do some painting a little bit later on. But before that, what we have to do is we have to remove some supports. So yeah, there's that. We're going to be doing that and doing a little bit of repair work because we had a couple of items that needed fixing with some UV resin, so we were able to do that. So other than that, let's just jump on over there. So let's just go ahead and we'll go to that scene there. And sorry that the lighting, I have the overhead lighting for this, and I don't know, it's just kind of an odd little camera thing that we got going on. But we'll get into this. And it should be noted that I do have a tablet that we're able to take a look at comments from time to time, so we'll be doing that. And then let's see what else. Other than that, we're just gonna wing it. We're just gonna wing it. We'll do some small repairs on the terrain because we did have some failures on there. And let's see, who do we got on here? We have Zombie Hunter. Hey, Zombie Hunter's back. Good. Good to have you aboard. We're going to go ahead and in the previous video, let's just go ahead and we'll just do a quick little recap. Some of the models turned out good. Some of the models, we had some breakages. But if we got something like that, and that came out really good. So imagine painting this all tan, and then with the ribs of these dinosaurs or beasts that have been long gone, what you'll end up doing is taking those and we'll paint them like a white, maybe like a skeleton bone, like Army Painter, and then we could do some washes on there to get some details. And yeah, this could be some pretty exciting looking stuff here. So we've got that one. We've got this little guy here. And again, these are all printed with 0.2 layer height on the Creality K2 Plus. This one was okay, but it turned out the small stuff, the problem that I had was with the organic supports, and it was all inside the rib cage. So those were really problematic. We had to do a little bit of a UV patch on this because this rib had broken. And I can't tell if this one was broke or not, but I couldn't find it. But then again, we had a bunch of supports. But other than that one, we fixed that, so that's good. We got kind of like this jaw, teeth protruding, so you could end up doing like a skeleton color, and then of course the white of the teeth and stuff like that. Again, I think that's going to turn out really good. So if you have like a desert type of thing that you want to do, and there's another one there, and with that, we can see that we got some spinal cord right there. So just a little detailed piece came out nice. Let's see if we got some other stuff here. Trying to make sure we got all the supports. And there, so we've got like a little steer's head here. We got kind of some ribs and another spine amongst some rocks. And yeah, that one looks good too. Looks good. Doesn't matter if the ribs break because most of it looks like damage over time anyway, right? Yeah. Good thinking. Yes. Let's see some other ones here. So this one turned out really good. Kind of like a T-Rex type of bone thing that we got going on. So that'll be really nice too. And then it was really different doing the supports with hybrid, tree hybrid. And the problem is that most of this stuff that had like this one, this is a real good example. So we've got this here. Inside the rib cage, we had supports that were on the inside, and then as they were tree supports, that kind of came up out these holes here and then around sometimes. So that was very problematic with getting the supports out of the rib cage because it was filled with supports. So, but that one turned out pretty good. This one is another one that had a bunch of supports. We still got a few little ones there. But this is the one where it had a rib that came down. Matter of fact, we have this one right here that we had some damaged. There's actually two of these that are supposed to go down even further. I don't have the other pieces, so I'm just going to go ahead and we'll leave that out. And like Zombie Hunter says, hey, it looks damaged and it's damaged, so we don't even have to worry about that. But yeah, the hybrid supports and the supports in there, oh, they were a bear to get off. It was something. So I don't know if I'm going to use those again. I thought, yeah, let's do hybrid supports, hybrid tree supports. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Here's one that we've got supports. Some of these smaller ones are going to be really interesting. Because like in there, it's just filled with supports. So I don't even know if we're going to be able to get any of those out of there without breaking some ribs. So we'll see. And this is another one that's got supports in there. And it's just got a little bit of stringing on there too. You know what I need is like a little blowtorch. Just dust those off. So, and this was a hard one to do because the inside of this was full of supports and it was absolutely crazy trying to get those out of there. But that'll be a good one. You see we got the skull there and that. Do some dry brushing. I mean, you could do different types of dry brushing and that would really look cool. Let's do the big one and we'll see how this goes. See how on the teeth on this, on the inside of this is all boogered up? Yeah, it is boogered up. So we'll just try to remove some of this stuff without getting too crazy. Like I said, some of this printed out really good and other stuff didn't. So, but since it is, we had supports on the model, so I had unchecked, you know, supports only on the build plate. And yeah, that's why I got a bunch of supports on the inside of rib cages. It was like, okay, I don't think I'll do that again. Now we're playing dentist here on trying to get supports out. And with that, the other problem is that usually with a top Z distance, you're looking, I normally use 0.24 or 0.25. On this one I did 0.25 and the top ones are good, but the bottom ones on these are default. And so they're a little bit harder to get out. And there is some interesting little boogers in there. So again, it's just probably just wasn't a real good idea to uncheck that box that said, you know, supports only on build plate, to uncheck that. It's like, yeah, we won't do that next time. But the good thing is, I mean, we can clear away a lot of that. But that bottom Z distance, we really needed to perhaps set that at a height so that way we could take it off easily. Because we didn't set the bottom Z distance, we just left that at default. So, but I think, man, there's just... Come on, get out of there. Like, cough it up. Look at that. That was ugly. Ugliness, ugliness. I got a little bit of a damaged tooth there. But, and we've got a little bit there that we need to get out. Boom. Okay, so that's salvaged. That came out good. And we got another mouth. Another one. And another thing I learned was on one of the tabs of your settings, on the first tab on your slicer, you know how you've got strength and speed and supports and all that one. It's the very top one on Creality Print. And it ends up, it is your wall, your type of wall. And if I can't remember that, but you have the choice of classic or Arachne, wall generator, that's it. And on the wall generator, those two different settings, and for the life of me, I was trying to figure out, you know, what is the difference between the two. And you hover over that in Creality Print, the slicer, and it'll give you some type of answer, but it doesn't, it gives you an answer, but it doesn't tell you anything. It's just like, okay, like a real world example of, you know, well, when would I use classic and when would I use Arachne? And so that was kind of an interesting thing. And so I went on a mission to try to figure out why and all that stuff. And I ended up using, I can't remember, it was ChatGPT or Grok or whatever, and ran across, did a number of checks and found out that the classic is good for models that you want kind of like this. If you want a good finish on this, you would choose classic. For this here, you want classic because you want nice smooth surfaces and so on and so forth. If you're doing a model that has a lot of details, kind of like this, you know, with our guy that we printed out, our orc, that came out really good, really happy with that, then you would go with Arachne because it's more for details. So those are the two differences, and that's probably one of the reasons why on let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Why on this piece here, this is part of a Warhammer axe, and I haven't forgot about it, but we see how we have these messed up areas. And in one of the explanations that I saw is that if you're doing a model like this, you would want to use classic. But I had used Arachne, and unfortunately with Arachne, it said that you would have some thinning out, you might get some holes, and it's definitely not good. So that is the reason, as far as I can tell, if there's somebody out there that knows of a different reason, is like with this model, I should have used Classic for wall generator. And obviously I used Arachne. So if you're doing ornate things, use Arachne. If you're doing classic pieces, flat, functional type of stuff, blocky stuff, you want good surfaces, then you would go ahead and use the Classic. So I don't know if that's right, but that's what the AI is saying. And yeah, if you find something different, put it in the comment section or send me an email. So, that's good. Today was leg day. Here's a classic example. Here's what I want to show you the problem. So here we have this rib cage, and here is the tree. So we use tree hybrid, and we have, it comes here and then it goes inside, and then it wraps around this part of the spine, it wraps around here, but then on the other side it wraps here, goes here, here. So in other words, you have this support that comes up, and then you have the spine in the middle, and it comes up around like that, which creates a lot of problems when you're trying to take off supports. So yeah, that wasn't really a good thing to do, and that's what we're finding out. So that's another lesson to be learned, and yeah, it's something to think about if you're doing terrain or you're doing things where, like these rib cages. This is really kind of an odd thing to do, but yeah, don't make the same mistake I did. Which makes me wonder what would happen is if I had checked the box for build plate, supports only on the build plate. And yeah, now we got another massive yuck in his mouth. So you can see that there. It's like now I'm a dentist. So the support removal. And then, because the supports aren't on the build plate only, we have support removal. We have supports that are on the base of the model, and you have a Z distance on there, bottom Z distance, and then you have supports with the top Z distance. So the top Z distance we set at, kind of like that one just pops right off at 0.25, which is really good. But the bottom Z distance is default, which is a little bit stronger. And looking at that, it's kind of like those are a little bit harder to take off. But yeah, so keep that in mind. If you're doing supports that are going to be on, the bottom is going to be on the model, then take a look at your bottom Z distance as well. And maybe if you do a lot of that type of stuff, then you might want to do some test pieces and test out and find out what is the best bottom Z distance. I know I haven't done that, but boy, that is just all. And suddenly I'm a dentist now. Which, one of these days I got to go to the dentist again, get my teeth cleaned. Somebody was asking how Korean dentists are, and I can tell you the best dental care that I have ever got in my life has been here in Korea. And it's inexpensive. You got some little strings on here that we gotta trim off. But yeah, excellent medical care, and it's less expensive, so that is really nice. I think that's good enough. So now we've got these supports on this thing, and we're going to see if we can't get some of this off without going too crazy. I mean, the bottom Z distance isn't too bad. It's just when they're in these rib cages, it's hard to get to them. So like we get one in there, if you can see it, it's kind of like a Y. And it's like, why? So yeah, removing the supports on a rib cage is definitely more entailed than any other print I've done so far. And because they wrap around, seriously. A fairly big amount. Decent amount. Now the other problems we're going to have ooh, that one came out good. And we still got those. Let's see if we get. The good thing is with the top Z distance being at 0.25, at least it's a little bit easier to take those things off. So there we ended up. Pretty good. Pretty good indeed. So that's another good one. And then we get to this stuff. So there's that. Not too bad, but these ribs on these are pretty delicate. Like we just broke off the top piece of that one, which is like super small. So let's see. Like playing that game Operation. It's like, okay. Good. And boy, that one's, again, it's just kind of wrapped around the rib down there, which is wild. Zombie says he's going to take off. Alrighty. Well, hey, have a good one. Thanks for stopping by and saying hi. Appreciate it. We're going to continue on. So enjoy the rest of your day. We're going to continue playing Operation. Can we get it? Yep, we did. We are good. We are good. Oops. Oops. I don't know. Sometimes the bottom Z distance is pretty good. Other times it's a bear. I don't know. So there it is. I think it'll come up really good. And here we have a steer. It looks like steer has seen better days. But the same thing, you end up having some supports that are going to be problematic. So you get these little ones that come off, which is nice. The bigger ones, excuse me. Just had dinner a little while ago. So, excuse me, it's pretty good. It's like so close. The way those things just wrap around, I don't know if you can see that in there, but you got the ribs, and then you got that right there. So you got this wide off, and one side goes around this side of the spine, this one goes around the other. And it's just like, frustrating. I need smaller needle nose. Interesting. See if I can reach in there and get that. Yeah. This isn't too bad. The bad ones are the small ones. Holy crow. Those are the rough ones. So when it gets down to the smaller areas, it's like we'll do some more minis, but for the little detailed stuff, holy crow. It's like you want to put force behind it, but then it's like I don't want to put too much. Crazy. And it's just not enough. Miniature down, miniature down. Get a light down too. So that's the guy that fell. This is water washable resin. That's how this guy was printed out. That's on my Saturn III Ultra, and then same with this one here. So I think this was from like one-page rule stuff. And you just, the attention to detail you get with resin is just insane. So, let's see if we can make some room. I'll put you up over here away from the light. Get away from the light. Don't go near the light. Oh no. I think I bent the little horn. We're going to fix this real quick. So for those of you who are wondering, Green Stuff World UV resin. And we're just going to put a little dab on this. And that will reinforce any small parts that we have. We'll use our little UV pen there. You can see that. And that will fix this thing up really quick. It's kind of like super glue, but it's activated by the UV light. And it bonds really fast. It provides some good support, and it is great for if you break miniatures, whether it's resin or FDM models, as we see here. So this is always good to have. And then I had used resin on thinning, or not thinning out. What's the word I'm looking for? Smoothing out. So I've used that to smooth out some prints, and that works pretty good. See if we can get some of this out of there. A piece at a time. Oh, there we go. It's like those ear cleaning videos or something. It's kind of like it almost wants to come out. Aha, we got it. We still got a little bit in there. Alrighty, I think we're good. So we got our steer. So that ends up being good. I think we had a little bit of a spike there that got snapped off. But other than that, turned out good. We have two left. We have this one. As you can see, the inside is littered with supports, and that's going to be ugly. And then we have this one here that we got out the majority of the supports out of the rib cage of this, but we still got a bunch in there, and we broke his neck. So we're going to have to repair that, and then with the UV resin, and then we got to go through and see if we can't get some of those other supports out of there. So we'll save that one for last. And again, supports just wrapping up around that spinal column is like, oh, thank you. And I don't know if that's because of the, oops. I think I might have broke a rib. What are the odds? So you have on one side of the spinal column, and then on the other side, and they join in the middle. So, and they're touching. So it's like, no. Let's see if we can cut that up a little bit. Maybe this would be better. Man, this is going to be a doozy. I was watching some videos too. What are the odds? Of other people that are printing miniatures with their 3D printers, and some pretty amazing results. There's people that actually, there's one guy, I forget his name, but what he ends up doing is that he uses Blender. Apparently there's a plug-in in Blender that if you take a supported miniature, so a miniature that already has supports on it, and that you bring that into Blender, and there's a little plug-in that what'll end up happening is you apply that plug-in and it'll switch out the resin supports or just change the supports to FDM supports, something that's more recognizable for FDM printers, and some incredible results. I don't do Blender, but it was pretty interesting. But then again, I was just kind of amazed on how well those miniatures came out, and that's kind of interesting. Yeah, I think I broke a rib. And then with that, he said part of the problem, because he's done like smaller miniatures or less complicated miniatures, I should say, more chunky, not a lot of, like, I would say something like this would be a miniature that, you know, is kind of chunky. But if you have something that is a lot more ornate, like something like this, or for example, if you had a miniature like this, and you have all these things here, way more details, you're going to need more supports on this. It's just kind of this would be a rough one to do. So you would print this using a supported, or you would use a supported STL for resin printing, put it into Blender, change it to FDM supports, and then it has like a scaffolding of all kinds of supports like you would in resin. And then he prints that stuff out. But some of those prints take some of those miniatures that are like that big, and it takes 16 hours. So I don't know if that would be, I mean, it's cool that you can do that, but you know, if that's the case, I would just, 16 hours to get one miniature. Honestly, I'd just do resin printing and get it done, and it'd be faster. Yeah, you got the smell of resin, and you know, you got to wash it and all that stuff, but you know, 16, if you're waiting 16, almost 17 hours for one miniature to print out, yeah, I don't think that's going to be something I would want to do. Man, just trying to get in there. I don't know if that would warrant the time to do that. I don't know. Maybe if you're allergic to resin smell or whatever, or, you know, I imagine some people are. Resin doesn't smell good. And if you got to deal with that. But to wait that long, good Lord. I could do like, you know, I could do some cosplay armor and some stuff like that. Print that out in the time that it would take to do a miniature. So, and it's like a great place to put the horns and those other bones so that I can't get in here. Okay, I think we're pretty decent. We got kind of a want to sneeze. I think we'll just throw on a little bit of UV resin on there, because we got a couple of small ribs that are which one is it? Okay. Run that down there. We'll heal that up. If only fixing human bones was this easy. That would be kind of wild. It's coming now. Let me try to turn this off and see. Turn that light off, because I've noticed I'm really washed out on the camera. I just no good lighting because of the overhead light that we have. What's the other one? Yeah, I see you. But I'd rather the camera be nice and clear for the miniatures and whatever we're painting and doing than me. So, and then the last one is going to be interesting, because we're going to have to fuse he's got a broken neck, so we're going to have to fuse the neck first. And then we're going to go in there and try to dig out some more of those supports. So, yeah. Fun stuff. So there that is. Oh, we still got some little supports in the eye sockets. I already got supports on the floor. Okay, we got them. I think we got them. That is it. So there that is. Turned out pretty good. Not bad. This is going to be the doozy though, because his neck is not in a good position. So we're going to have to load him up with some resin. So that way we've got a real good support there. And we'll try to get that inside. I'll try to hold that up. Make sure that that gets a real good bit of light on there, so that way it's like doing a vertebrae fusing surgery. So yeah, this stuff has saved me a number of times. It's helped me with resin prints. It's helping me with FDM prints. And yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff indeed. So there we got. We're good for now. And we still got, you can see all of those supports in there. It's like that's going to be ugly. You can see how it comes up here and on the base of the skull, of the jawbone there. Yeah, that's why we had a lot of problems. So there. That's a lot better, isn't it? That's a lot of that's a lot of support in that little area. Like I said, this is definitely a test of the emergency support system. So that's not bad. So that's pretty good. But it's just now we've got some other. Ooh, that's attached to the rib. No, you got that. This one here, I don't know how that's going to work out. Because that is just straight up ugly. It is so small. Carefully, carefully. I got that. Good. Actually, it's not too bad, actually. Now it's going to make me eat my words. Maybe. So who knew the game operation would prepare me later in life at such an old age to remove supports on models wow. You know, the person that made this was like, he's probably laughing right now. Every time someone downloads, he's like, yeah, they're going to have hell to pay, try to clean out that, clean the supports out of that. There we go. So close, so close. There it is. Hey, it's not too bad. It actually came out. So that turned out good. The only problem we have is that right there. I think there was supposed to be a spire, and that's what's going through his head. So, can we fix that? And I think we can. If we can try to get a piece that will mimic that, which might be this one right here. So we can rebuild him. This makes me wonder if one of those ultrasonic cutters would be good for fixing some of this stuff. And let's see. You know, it'd be nice, some forceps. That would be nice. And take off a little bit, just a little bit. Then we'll have to do another UV resin on there. Is that gonna fit? Look at that, right there. That is perfect. Quick, let's get some resin on there. I'll seal that bad boy up. That is pretty good, pretty good. You know, we can do. So put some resin on here first. And we will put this bottom piece on. And then we can do the other piece, the top. I want to be able to get this so it looks good. Need like another set of hands, seriously. And we'll throw a little bit more resin on there. Let's see how it's right in there. There we go. That'll be good. You can see that. The light shining and solidifying. You know, the other thing I would really like to get, since I'm going to be doing some cosplay stuff, is I'd like to get some super glue with the activator spray. But here in Korea, I can't find it. So it's like, seriously. I got to do another search, and maybe I can find some. But I searched online for it here in Korea, and I haven't been able to find it yet. I'll have to double check Amazon as well, because Amazon does deliver to Korea, but there's some things that they won't deliver. And yeah, apparently CA activator is one of those things that is not permitted for whatever reason. So yeah, that's one of the gripes that I have about living in Korea, is that the online shopping is harder because it's in Korean, and even though you got like Coupon or something like that, or Naver, but they have English translation. Some of them do. I use a Chrome browser, so it's able to translate the Korean into English, and that works really, really well. But that is hanging on by a thread. So we'll put a little drop. But there's definitely some products that is easy to get in the United States and is hard to get in Korea. And some things you just can't even get. So, and you would think, a lot of people are like, well, Korea and cosplay and manga and anime, and it's close to Japan, and you think, no, I can't find it. It's one of those things. It's like, really? So, anime and cosplay is kind of I don't know, people do it, but it's not like as widespread. They have SeoulCon, which is in September. Let's see. And we missed SeoulCon this year because what we ended up doing was we took a trip to Vietnam for our anniversary. So, yeah, there was that. And it was like, okay. So we'll have to do SeoulCon this year and see what happens. So whether I do a cosplay for that, I would like to, because I've never done that before. So I think that's on my bucket list of things to do, and I'd like to really get the Doom Eternal Slayer armor done. And I printed out one helmet. I might have to print out the other one from Galactic Armory. So that would be a cool thing to do. But I'm also kind of waiting for Galactic Armory to get their form fitter program finished. And that's another thing that, because I want to fit it right, and that program looks really good. I don't want to have to like try to size it the old-fashioned way. Other people have mentioned, what was that other program? Armorsmith. That was the other one. Had mentioned Armorsmith in that was something that, you know, as you could end up doing. But that's a Windows-based program, and I do have a Windows laptop. Yes, I have supports on the floor. And they are punching through my sock. Not as bad as Legos, but okay, so we finished up that guy there. We're good to go. That was a lot easier than I thought. So yeah, that'll be a good piece as well. So we got a number of them here, and again, if we kind of throw these out here, I did some other ones where it ends up that we did some colors and some colored terrain. The last one that I did, because we just did, it was kind of like a cave terrain features. So we finished some of those, and I dry brushed a number of those. Matter of fact, here's the dry brush panel. Some all the different colors that we tried. We did silver, we did, I think, titanium white, we did yellows, green, orange, of course, yellow, green, bronze, silver, gold, some red, and those turned out really good. So, yeah, so we got a number of terrain features here that are going to come out really good. And if I ever get into gaming, these will come in handy. But until then, we'll just take these guys and we'll use these on my display, where I display the guys that I paint, and we'll just put them out and they'll look good. Alrighty, let's see, where did I put those other ones? Those are, oh, I put them over here. Oh, I already set them up, that's right. Let me get a couple of the good ones. The ones that I thought were really, really cool. Oh, that one was good. And then that one, that was an interesting color. And then, so we got that. We got like a brown. And we'll take this one here. I'll show you what we got. So on these other ones, these are the terrain features that we printed before. And you can see those, I think that was like a titanium white. And those turned out, that turned out really good. So we got that. This one we end up doing like a red. And that came out really nice. Just a little bit of dry brushing makes it go a long way. And this one we did a combination of green and I can't remember that color. Maybe yellow? But it kind of turned into a different color, but that was good. And then this one, we ended up doing a silver on here that you can see there. And then we did some green, two different types of green on there. So that came out kind of like a glowing type of thing on there. And that turned out really good as well. So, yeah, we did some good stuff on here. So with these, we did a good job. And then I think with these here, we'll do the desert motif, if that's a thing. And then with that one, we'll end up painting those like a tan. Sand, we'll probably just paint them all as like sand or a khaki color, and then we'll come back to these, and then we could do these in like a bone color, and then we could do like the teeth. Imagine all the teeth are in white, and then we could throw some washes on there to get into the recesses to make it kind of old. I think these would really look sharp. So yeah, some good stuff. I think we came out with some good ones. And you know, yeah, this is really going to be good. Oh, we still got some in there. But I knew these were going to be rough when we did these. I was like, yeah, we'll be able to do these. And most people printed these out in resin. So that's the one thing. The creator of these said he does these in resin. But there was a few people that did them in FDM, and I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. And it'll be an interesting little challenge here. But I think stuff like this would turn out really, really good, especially in the sand and the khaki. I've got a spray can of khaki, so we'll be able to print these out, or not print these out, we'll paint them. And then we can go in. Good Lord, that's going to be a lot. What was there? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. We've got 15 pieces here. Thankfully, spray paint, do the once over will be good, but then going back over with to do the skeletons and stuff like that, so we would probably use something like Army Painter skeleton bone. And then we would probably use mummy robes for the teeth. Whatever these things have teeth, or maybe even, you know, kind of like this, kind of like the teeth on this. That would look really good. We get some good contrast on that. And then some of the rocks and stuff, we could do those in a darker brown, and then do some dry brushing over those to capture the details of the rocks that we have. So, yeah, it's just, we could go crazy on this. We could go crazy on this, and this, that would be some time. So that would be the interesting thing. And we've got a lot of other stuff to do. So one of those things is going to be the Warhammer axe that we have that is all in this bag, and it's, yeah, and that's going to be, I think it's like 39 inches long, 39 or 40 inches, which is a significant amount of axe. And that'll be a display item, so we'll be doing that. But that'll go along well with our crimson sword. It is already hanging up on the wall. And I think that'll go on the other side. Let's see if we can get... I've been doing better at cleaning up. I cleaned up a lot of the crap on my desk, except for this. And couple other things over there. Yeah, don't look over there. But yeah, I'm trying to be organized. I'm trying to be, I don't know, trying to be clean and stuff. I see some of those, some people on Reddit, and you know, some of the very incredible painters and hobbyists in their workstations, and it's just like, there's a place for everything. Everything has its place, and it's there, and it's so crisp and clean and pristine. And then I look at mine and I'm like, okay. Hopefully that's not a prerequisite for, you know, getting a lot of subscribers. You have to be clean and pristine. I think I need a bigger table, honestly. I'm running out of room. And like I said, the other thing I'm doing is I got some acrylic markers. Now when we get back over there, we'll take a look at that. But we got some acrylic markers that we got going on, and I needed a stand for that, so I made a stand in Tinkercad for that, and that's going to take up some real estate. And I'm running out of real estate. So, I don't know, I could put it over here. Yeah, I still got some room. I just have to clean up more. Okay. Alrighty then. Let's get back to the table. And we'll see what we got going on. Okay, so now that we're back, we got all those supports off of there, which is good. And let's see if we can... Oh, I was telling you about the these. These are the new markers that I got. So you see that, just art, 60 dual tip acrylic markers, 60 of these, and they have to be stored like this. So in other words, you can't have them like standing up or in a cup or whatever. They're supposed to be stored like this because you have two tips. You have a tip on each end. And we'll pull out one. And so on one side, you've got a brush tip. I know that's not really focusing good. And then you have a fine tip on the other end. So it has to be stored like this. So I was like, well, do I really want to be going in and out of this? And then the cheap little, you know, trays, and there's 3 of them, there's 60 of them, and it's like, no, I want something a little bit more permanent. And so I was thinking, okay, so I looked online, couldn't find anything that I wanted. So it ends up, it's like, okay, well, I'll make something in Tinkercad. And I think that's what we could end up doing. We might as well. We'll take a look at it. We'll take a look at what I've done in Tinkercad. We just go to the desktop here, and boom. Kind of like, I get a little car there. Refresh. Yes, it's been a while. That'll give me time to get my drink. And it'll give you all time to press the like button. I would appreciate that. Alrighty. We're back. So, this is kind of an interesting project because I wanted to have something to where I could see the ends of, you know, like the ends of the pen right there. So you always got the end there that you can see, and then you've got a little bit of space there that shows the color there. So I wanted to be able to see from there up, and so this is what I ended up doing. And I kind of started off like this. So basically I had like a rectangle, and this is a little bit different. Oh, this is the one that I started out with, this one here. So basically a rectangle, and what we ended up doing is doing some fillets and kind of take away, kind of round some of those surfaces off because I wanted to be able to print this without supports. And with this one, it came out to 583 grams. And yeah, and then I thought, you know, well, what I'll do is I'll take away, now this was late at night, so yeah. And that's going to be my excuse there, is that it was late. And I wasn't thinking, because I thought, oh, well, I'll just take out material from this. And if we take a look at this and we make it transparent, I know it's kind of hard to see. So these sections here on the inside are hollow. And I thought, well, I'll take that material out and I won't be able to, you know, lessen the amount of filament that I use. Well, the problem is when you do something like that and you print it, you're going to need supports within that. And so I was kind of thinking in my mind, and then when I did this, and yeah, that wasn't going to work out. So this is definitely, that's a no-go. And that came out to 620 grams because you have to have supports. So, you know, about 200 grams more for supports. And then this one is the one that I ended up doing. This one here, and that worked a little bit better. And it was only 413 grams. And I remember watching a video from somebody, and he was talking about you do supports, or you make things that don't need supports. And so that's why we got this teardrop shape here. But the problem with the teardrop shape is I've got a little bit of a line right there. So I've got the teardrop, but I've got too much of a significant change. And so in other words, it should be a straight line from here to here. So yeah, we actually ended up printing one of these out as far as like a test piece. Which one was it? This was the test piece. And to see if this works. And when we did that, it's a little bit ugly on there, up towards the top. So let me see if we can get it this way. Comes out a little bit better. But it's a little bit ugly there. And again, it's just aesthetically not pleasing. But the other issue was when we put it into the slicer, there would still be blue areas where it would need support, or it would just come out and that overhang would be a little bit fugly. So I had to redesign these instead of, you know, having it like this here with the teardrop with that weird little, you know, we have the part of the triangle there, and then it's kind of like, yeah, I wasn't thinking. So what we ended up doing is going through, long story short, I made a better one. That's as good as I could get it with Tinkercad. And that printed out significantly better. So here's the second one. I'll take a look at this. We get it to the right thing. And boom, let's see if so a lot cleaner. And that turned out really, really good. And again, I can't remember, if some guy had a 3D print farm on YouTube. He sells some type of tool attachments or something. He's got a number of printers. I can see his face. I can't remember his name. But I think he sells these adapters for like power tools or rechargeable tools or battery operated tools or whatever. Some type of attachment or something like that to whatever tool it is that takes rechargeable batteries, and he charges like something like $53 or whatever. It's done really good. So it was on one of his videos that he was talking about doing this teardrop shape type of thing. So I remembered that, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember watching that. So that's when I redid it, and this turned out really good. So this one, and then we took out a little bit more material here, and we ended up with a final 414 grams. So I think that's as good as that's going to get. I mean, I could go through, and the thing is, this is, what are the dimensions on this? That's something that probably somebody would want to know. So this is it. Should be 396. Which is, what is that, like 15 inches? 396, so about just a hair over 15.5 inches tall. And then it ends up at the widest is 68, which ends up just over 1.5 inches. So that's pretty good. And then that there is 136. Which ends up, that would be just over 5.25 inches. So it's a pretty I think it's a pretty good thing for your pens, because you can end up putting your pen in these slots. And notice we got the teardrops down there, how the point is going down. Then eventually you get to a place of where, you know, you have a point going up and a point going down. And the reason I do that is when I go through in the slicer, this is too big for the Creality K2 Plus. So when I go in and I change that, I have to cut it in half. And then I would place the two parts on the build plate, and with those teardrops configured in the right direction. And here's what we'll take a look at, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is the base piece here. And again, you can end up seeing we got our cool little teardrops. And we go down, and we've got 10 of those. And so what we ended up doing is slicing this halfway, and then I turned it upside down, so that way we could print in this orientation. And then we also added in, you know, through the cuts, the planer cut, you can do some connectors, so we put some holes, and then we have some dowels, so that way we can put this all together. We can glue it, have those little dowels in there to make sure that it's all lined up, and we are good to go. So yeah, this should be a pretty good print. It's going to be about, like I said, about 413. It won't need supports. And I think the only problem that will stem on this is when you end up putting a pen in here, like when you slide the pen through this hole, that it might dip down a little bit, and so you might have to hold it horizontal or parallel to the earth, and then slide it in so the back of the pen goes in the back and is held there, and then of course that. But I was thinking about, well, we'll just put a couple of dowels all the way across for each pen or whatever. But then that's more material, and then you're looking at how you're gonna definitely would need supports with that, and that kind of goes against what I wanted to do. The more I tried to, like in this here, this is actually what I was kind of looking at doing, was taking some of this and trying to make a track. Let's see if I can get one of these. That wasn't it. It was down here. So take that one and then that one. Oh man, that's going to be a... Seriously. We'll ungroup those. And, oh, we got some... Seriously. Let's just go back, because I screwed up some of those. Yeah, so I got the... anyway, so long story short, I was going to go ahead and use kind of like that right there, and to have that bridge the gap to support the pen as, kind of like something like that. So we go in there. But that would just be more material. And you could print it out, so I could do something like, of course, let me get this to where that's kind of like where that would, let's move the car out of the way. So we could do something like that, but then you'd have to go through, and then you copy, and then you'd have to do one for each one of these. And which wouldn't be too bad. I mean, it's not hard to do. And then when you split it, you could print it out, but then again, you've got the overhang here, so that wouldn't work out either. Maybe if you put it on the side, this is on the bottom, but then you'd still need supports for this here. So yeah, you see what I'm saying? It just, the more I thought about it, of like trying to support the pen some way through this chasm, the more I was like, you know what, we're just not even going to worry about it. I think it'll print out fine when we do our thing like that. So that's going to be the next print that we're going to end up doing, is this one here. And so that way we've got a holder. And then once that prints out, I'll be able to put that out on Creality Print. And you can get a number of items there that I've done on Creality Print. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and we'll take a look at that. A little, oh no. The K2 Plus has an upgrade, firmware upgrade. I've already seen people complaining about it. I don't think I'm going to do it. Too many people have said, "Oh, new update, new firmware," and then it ends up it's like, yeah, you don't want to do that. Yeah, at least not right now. So anyway, back to here. Let's go ahead. I'm checked in. There is my Creality cloud page, and these are all the models that I've done. I got like a rotating paint rack. I got some other stuff here, you know, little teleprompter for your cell phone, army painter rack that you could put on the wall, some other stuff, and yeah, just little stuff that I've done with Tinkercad, and I just throw it up here for free, and yeah. So let me get that, and what I'll end up doing is free models from Varied Life. And all of the models, you're able to remix those models. So if you take the model and you have, you know, you can remix it, you can add to it, you can take away, you can do whatever you want, make changes to make it better, which would probably be the thing to do. You're free to do that. So yeah, there you go. Some cool stuff there. So anyway, that's what we got going on that. We successfully finished the part 2 of removing all the supports off of our bone waste terrain. And we ended up getting those, in case somebody wants to know. Let me see if I can find that. Slowly, slowly, come on, let's do that. Service unavailable. Oh, really? Oh, it's because I got my VPN on, that's why. Let me see if I can bring this up. Maybe I have to start all over. I don't think it's working. Yeah, I got my VPN on, so that's why it's not working. Server not available to handle this request. But for the terrain features, look up cast and play. Well, let's see. Like the cave set. And I don't get any money by recommending him or whatever. This is the cave terrain. So maybe you can get that to work on yours. But yeah, that's what we ended up doing. And I just found those 2 terrain features, one for the cave and the other for the wasted terrain or whatever. I thought those were cool. I bought them. My Mini Factory is still having a sale, 50% off. And again, I don't get anything if you buy anything or not. I'm just giving you, you know, 50% discount. That's a good deal. I'll tell everybody about that all day long. And I don't get anything out of it. But if you're looking at getting miniatures, and there's a ton of makers on My Mini Factory, whether it's terrain or figures or models or whatever, if you're into 3D printing, whether it's resin or FDM, you can find something on that site, and it's 50% off for the next however many days or whatever, kind of the Christmas sale, holiday sale thing. So check that out if you're interested. With that, I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the outro, the obligatory outro page. Boom, that's what we have right here. A bunch of people bought me coffee. Don't worry about it. The best thing that you can do is like and subscribe to the channel. That would make me happy. That would make me happy. Don't worry about coffee. Like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to email me, there's my email address, officialthevariedlife@gmail.com. I always answer my emails. So if you just want to say hi or show me what you're printing, or if you have tips, tricks, playlists, videos, information to make me better at 3D printing, resin, whatever, being an American expat over here in Korea, whatever it is, send it my way. I would appreciate that. I had one guy that sent me pictures of the ribs he was smoking, and they look damn good. So that's, you know, whatever it is, doesn't matter. So with that, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and we will see you on the next video. All right, thank you. Peace. Good stuff. Good stuff.